When I got the email saying I'd been denied for a $9,000 used car loan, I thought there had to be a mistake. I'm not reckless with money. I pay my bills on time, I don't have credit cards maxed out, and my student loans are on an income-based plan. My FICO had last been around 720, nothing fancy, but solid enough that a modest car shouldn't have been a big deal. The denial reason at the bottom of the email made my stomach drop. Recent serious delinquency, collection accounts, medical. The only medical stuff I dealt with was 2 years earlier, when I ended up in the ER with a ruptured appendix, and my sister Emily had handled it. Apparently, I needed to rethink the definition of handled. I'm Hannah. I'm 27 now. When all of this went down, I was 25, working as a receptionist at a physical therapy clinic and living in a small apartment I was irrationally proud of. My older sister, Emily, is exactly 3 years and 6 days older than me. Growing up, she was the golden child. Perfect hair, perfect Instagram, perfect I just rolled out of bed like this. Look, my parents adored her. Not that they didn't love me, but if there was a family scoreboard, Emily's side always had a few more gold stars. She went to a big-name university, got a job in healthcare administration, and got engaged to a guy named Ty Tyler who did something in finance none of us really understood. They were the couple everyone in my family pointed to when they talked about doing life right. I was the backup daughter, the one who stayed in state for college, who changed majors twice, who worked at coffee shops, and then at a clinic that didn't even have a proper website. When I got sick my senior year, Emily swooped in like a hero. At first, anyway, the night of the appendix disaster, I woke up with pain so bad I couldn't stand up straight. My roommate drove me to the ER. I remember vomiting in a trash can while a nurse took my blood pressure. I did not remember the part where they asked for my insurance information, because I didn't have any. I'd aged off my parents' plan a month earlier and was between school coverage and my first real job. Adulting, am I right? They treated me anyway. Emergency surgery, 3 days in the hospital. A blur of morphine and bad jello. Emily showed up on day 2 with a lat and a stack of forms. Don't worry, she said, brushing my hair off my forehead. My hospital has a financial assistance program. I'll help you apply. Worst case, we can put you on a payment plan. It's not like they demand the cash before you leave. Thank you, I murmured, groggy. She handled everything with admissions. Or so I thought. When I got home, there were a few envelopes from the hospital. I was too tired and doped up to open them. You focus on recovering, Emily said. I'll keep an eye on the bills. I work with this stuff all the time. A week later, she texted, "Good news! We got you on a low-interest medical card. I'll walk you through it later." I assumed she meant one of those care credit things. I also assumed she'd already set up a payment plan. School ramped back up. I moved, graduated, started working, and forgot about it. Occasionally, a piece of mail with the medical card's logo would show up at my parents' house. Mom would send me a picture. "Em says she's handling this," she'd text. I'd reply, "Okay, thanks," and go back to whatever shift I was working. I shouldn't have. 2 years later, I was standing in the ugly fluorescent light of the used car lot, clutching my denial letter. The salesman, Dave, shifted awkwardly. "Sometimes the online system glitches," he said. "We can try another lender, but the credit report they pulled shows a couple of big medical collections. Medical on 7,483, past due 83 days, Viraj hospital 1 to 920, charged off." My ears rang. I thought that was on a payment plan," I said. "I never got notices. They've been sending notices to this address," he said, pointing. 234 Oakwood. "That your parents?" "Yeah," I said weakly. Maybe Mom had just been handing everything to Emily. Maybe no one had been opening anything at all. I thanked Dave and left. In the parking lot, I called Emily. She answered on the second ring, cheerful. "Hey, little sis, what's up?" "Did you set up a payment plan for my hospital bills?" I asked. Silence. "Where is this coming from?" she said carefully. "I just got denied for a car loan because of medical collections." I said, "From my appendix thing with your hospital." She exhaled. "Oh," she said. "That." My skin prickled. "What do you mean?" "That," I said. "You told me you handled it." "I tried," she said. "Look, calm down, okay? I put the charges on a medical credit card in your name. We talked about this?" "We did not," I said. "I signed stuff in the hospital while I was drugged. I barely remember my own name from that week. You never sat me down and said, 'Hey, I'm opening a line of credit.'" She made an impatient sound. "You said you'd pay me back," she said. "Then you started talking about how you couldn't afford anything. I'm not made of money, Hannah." "I never paid you because you never asked," I said. "If I'd known, I would have at least tried. Instead, you just stopped paying and let it go to collections, under my credit. I had my own bills," she said. "Wedding, grad school loans. The card was in your name. It's not like they're coming after me." She said it like that made it better. Like using my social security number for convenience was no big deal. I gripped the steering wheel. "You committed identity theft," I said slowly, "against your own sister?" "Oh my God, don't be dramatic," she said. "You were going to owe that money anyway. I just streamlined it by wrecking my credit." I asked, "Do you have any idea how hard it is to fix this?" "You'll live," she said. "People file for bankruptcy all the time." "My balances aren't even high enough for that," I said. "They're just high enough to keep me from owning anything for the next 7 years." "Well, maybe next time get insurance." She snapped. I did you a favor not making mom and dad pay. And there it was, the golden child logic. She'd done me a favor by quietly using my data, failing to pay, and then acting like I was ungrateful for being mad. I hung up. Then I did something I should have done years ago. I pulled my full credit report from all 3 bureaus. There were the 2 big medical debts, plus the original CareCredit account with Emily listed as authorized user. There were late fees, charge-offs, all under my name. The total damage, about $10,000. For Emily, 10 grand was probably a rounding error on her wedding budget. For me, it was the difference between building a life and being stuck. I spent the next week on the phone, first with the credit bureaus, then with the hospital billing office, then with a consumer rights clinic my coworker recommended. Technically, if she opened the account without your consent, that's identity theft, the paralegal Jenna said. "We can help you file an FTC fraud affidavit and police report. It's messy, but it's the only real way to clear your file." "Do I have to press charges?" I asked. "She's my sister. You don't have to push for criminal charges," Jenna said. "You just have to document that someone used your identity without permission. The agencies may ask for a name. Whether law enforcement pursues it is on them." I stared at the phone. Could I live with being the reason Emily got a call from a detective? I thought about the way she'd said, "It's not like they're coming after me. Like my future was disposable." "Yes, Ed, let's do it." The paperwork was brutal, I gathered. Hospital admission forms with my scrawled morphine days signature. The CareCredit application printout with an IP address traceable to Emily's condo. Email threads where she referred to putting everything on your card. A photo of the note mom had sent months earlier. Says she's handling these bills. I filed the identity theft report online with the FTC. Then, shaking, I went to the local police station and filled out a report there too. The officer looked tired but sympathetic. "Unfortunately, we see a lot of family-related stuff," he said. "They may not charge her, but the documentation will help with the credit bureaus." Within weeks, the agency started marking the medical debts as disputed identity theft claim. Collections calls slowed. My score crept up by a few points. It was a start. In the middle of all this, Emily called. "Tyler and I found a house," she squealed. 4 bedrooms, big yard. We're meeting with the mortgage broker next week. Pray for us, okay? I made a non-committal noise. She went on. "The market is insane," she said. "Good thing our credit is pristine. Tyler's score is like 790. Mine's 760 even with the cards. The broker said we're a strong file. Strong file." That phrase stuck with me. I just learned more about credit files than I ever wanted to. Things like, underwriters don't like recent fraud reports tied to the applicant's name. Lenders care a lot about character, especially if there's any hint of financial dishonesty. Mortgage applications ask directly if you're involved in any lawsuits or have accounts in dispute for fraud. Emily had used my identity to open a card. She'd let it go to collections. Now she was about to sign a stack of papers swearing that she'd never been involved in financial misrepresentation, at least not in any way that might affect the lender. The petty part of me thought karma will get her eventually. The exhausted, newly assertive part of me thought, maybe karma needs a little forwarding address. I wasn't trying to make her homeless. I wasn't trying to get her arrested. I just wanted her to feel even for a second. The panic I'd felt in that used car lot. And more importantly, I wanted a clean slate, not just for me. For any bank that might one day ask, has this applicant ever been involved in fraud? So when Mom invited me to a house hunting celebration dinner at their place, I went. Emily and Tyler were already there, showing everyone glossy printouts. "Look at that kitchen," Tyler said proudly. "Quartz counters, an island, and it's in a great school district. Plenty of room for future grandbabies. Mon coud." Emily beamed. "As long as everything goes smoothly with underwriting," she said. "But our broker says we're practically a slam dunk." "Underwriting?" I asked, innocent. "Yeah," Tyler said. "The bank's risk department. They just verify income, debt, credit, that kind of thing." "Boring stuff." "Do they check for like fraud flags?" I asked. "Identity theft reports." Emily stiffened slightly. "What do you mean?" she said. I shrugged. "Just something I read," I said. "That lenders don't like seeing someone's name associated with fraud, even as the victim. It makes them nervous." Tyler nodded. "True," he said, "but that's more if you were the one committing fraud. Victim stuff is usually okay if it's resolved." He smiled at Emily. "No skeletons in our closets, right, babe?" She laughed a little too loudly. "Of course not," she said. Her eyes met mine. We both knew that was a lie. I decided right then that if she was going to lie under oath about financial honesty, I wasn't going to be her silent accomplice. Not again. Through a mix of Emily oversharing and the magic of LinkedIn, I figured out who their loan officer was, a woman named Megan at a regional bank. Her work email was right there on the website. I drafted another email. This one I wrote 10 times before sending. Subject: information relevant to loan risk, applicant Emily Carter. Dear Ms. Gray, I know you can't discuss the specifics of any application with me, but I wanted to share some information that may be relevant to your bank's risk assessment regarding one of your applicants. Emily Carter. 2 years ago, Emily used my personal information without my consent to open a medical credit account in my name and incurred approximately $10,000 of debt, which she then failed to pay, resulting in multiple collections and charge-offs on my credit report. I have filed identity theft reports with the FTC and local law enforcement, and the credit bureaus are in the process of removing these fraudulent accounts. Documentation is attached. I am not seeking any action from your bank specifically. I simply believe that if you are evaluating her for a large loan based partly on character and financial responsibility, you should be aware that she has used a close family member's identity for her own convenience. Sincerely, Hannah Carter. I attached the FTC identity theft affidavit, the police report naming Emily as the person who opened the account, a letter from the hospital's billing office acknowledging the fraud claim. Then I hovered over send for a full minute. Once I clicked, there would be no undoing it. I thought about my denied car loan, about Emily saying, "It's not like they're coming after me," about all the times I deferred my own needs because Emily has so much on her plate. I hit send. I didn't hear anything for a week. Then Mom texted, "Can you come over tonight? It's about Emily." My stomach did the weird roller coaster drop again. At their house, the mood was tense. Emily sat at the table, eyes puffy, mortgage printouts scattered like confetti. Tyler was pacing. Mom clutched a dish towel like it was a stress ball. Dad stared at the table. "What happened?" I asked, playing dumb. Emily glared. "You know exactly what happened. She said, 'Em!'" Mom warned. "What?" she snapped. "She's the reason the bank pulled our approval." Tyler ran a hand through his hair. "The underwriter flagged some issues," he said more calmly. "They received an anonymous email with documentation of identity theft reports involving Emily and a medical account. They're concerned about potential misrepresentation. They're making us wait 6 months and might deny us alt anonymous." I said, raising my eyebrows. "Weird." Emily scoffed. "Don't," she said. "It had your case number on it. Hannah. Same as the one from the police report. The one you filed." Mom's gaze snapped to me. "You filed a police report?" She asked, I said. I had to. It was the only way to get the fraudulent accounts off my credit. "You put your own sister's name in a fraud report," Mom whispered. "Emily put her own name there when she used my social without asking," I said. "The report just reflects what happened." Dad cleared his throat. "Is it true?" He asked Emily quietly. "Did you open the card in Hannah's name?" She looked away. "I took care of her when she was sick," she said. "I used my connections to get her a card. She said she'd pay." Then she ghosted me. I had my own stuff to deal with. It's not like I went on a shopping spree. "That's not an answer," he said. She folded her arms. "Fine," she muttered. "Yes, I put it in her name, but she benefited. She's acting like a victim now because it's convenient. The victim part is the destroyed credit," I said, "and the denial letters, and the collections calls." Tyler stopped pacing. "Emily," he said slowly, "did you really not tell her?" "At all." She rolled her eyes. "It was understood," she said. "She knew we didn't have money. She knew someone had to pay. She's not a child." "Actually, she kind of was," he said. "She was, 22 in the hospital. That's not informed consent." He looked at me. "Why didn't you tell us?" he asked. "Before now. I tried to handle it without blowing up your life," I said. "I went through the bureaus. I filed reports. I hoped the bank would never notice. But when Emily bragged about how perfect her credit was, while mine was trashed because of her, I realized there was nothing stopping her from doing it again. To me, to you, to someone else." Emily's face flushed. "You're just jealous," she spat. "Jealous that I'm getting a house and you're still renting a shoebox. I'm jealous you had the luxury of trashing someone else's credit to float your lifestyle," I said. "Yes!" Mom slammed her hand on the table. "No!" she said. "Both of you?" She turned to Emily. "You should have told us," she said. "We would have helped Hannah, not like this. Lying to the bank, it's wrong." "There it is," Emily said bitterly, always taking her side. Dad's side. "This isn't about sides," he said. "It's about trust. And right now, the bank doesn't trust you. That's on you." Emily stood up, chair scraping. "I can't believe you're all ganging up on me," she said. "I was just trying to survive." She grabbed her purse. "Oh, enjoy your righteousness," she snapped at me. "Hope your little apartment keeps you warm at night." She stormed out. The door slammed. Silence settled. Mom looked like she might cry. Tyler sank into a chair. "I should have asked more questions," he said quietly. "You couldn't have known," I said. "I knew enough to know her family kind of enabled some stuff," he said. "I just didn't connect the dots." He looked at me. "Thank you for telling the bank," he said. I blinked. "You're welcome," I said. "I'd rather find out now than get married, buy a house, and have her take out a halo key in my name," he said. Mom winced. "Harsh, but not inaccurate," Dad muttered. We all laughed, a little hysterically. The fallout wasn't pretty. Emily didn't speak to me for months. She posted a few vague Facebook statuses about betrayal and family snakes. Our relatives took sides. Some thought I'd gone too far. Others quietly emailed me their own stories of Emily borrowing their information. Mom and Dad went to counseling. So did I. In therapy. I unpacked a lot of things I hadn't let myself feel. The resentment of always being the responsible one. The guilt of finally putting my foot down. The relief of not being the family doormat anymore. I also slowly fixed my credit. With the fraud reports in place, the bureaus removed the medical collections. My score crept back into the 700s. 6 months after the first car loan denial, I reapplied. This time, I got the congratulations email. I cried in my little apartment holding my new car keys, max level ugly sobbing over a 4-door sedan. It wasn't about the car. It was about reclaiming something Emily had taken without a second thought. Emily and Tyler didn't buy that 4-bedroom house. Whether it was entirely my email or partly the market, I don't know. They signed a lease on a townhome instead, cheaper, less glamorous. More realistic, a year later they started house hunting again, this time with a very thorough talk about finances. Emily and I eventually had our own very thorough talk. It wasn't at a dramatic family summit, it was at Starbucks. She texted me out of the blue. "Can we meet? Just us." I was nervous. But I went. She looked smaller, tired. "We need to clear the air," she said, fiddling with her cup sleeve. "I'm getting really sick of avoiding my own sister at holidays." "Same," I said. She took a breath. "I'm still mad," she said. "I won't lie. You cost us that house. You cost me 2 years of being able to build credit," I said, "and a lot of sleepless nights." She nodded. "I know," she said. "And I'm sorry. I convinced myself you owed me for taking care of things when you were sick. But really, I owed you transparency. I took a shortcut with your info because it was easier than asking for help. And then you stopped paying," I added. "And then I stopped paying," she agreed, "because I didn't want to sacrifice anything from my own life. I expected you to just deal with it. That wasn't fair. It wasn't the groveling I'd secretly fantasized about. But it was real. I'm sorry too," I said, "for not talking to you before I emailed the lender. I was hurt and angry and wanted you to feel something. I could have at least warned you." She snorted. "You really think I would have owned up to anything if you had?" she asked. "Probably not," I admitted. We both laughed. "It's weird seeing you stand up for yourself," she said. In a good way. "I always thought of you as the nice one. Nice girls get collections notices," I said. "Boundaried girls get car loans." She grinned. "Look at you, dropping therapy wisdom." She said, "We're not best friends now. We probably never will be. But we're sisters with clearer lines. She doesn't handle my paperwork anymore. I don't silently enable her shortcuts. And when she posts about finally closing on a house smaller than the first one, more in line with what they actually can afford, I hit like without bitterness. Because I know this time the loan officer had the full story. And so did she. Sometimes I think about what would have happened if I'd kept quiet. If I'd just let those fraudulent accounts sit. If I'd let the bank assume Emily was a perfect borrower. Maybe she'd have gotten the house. Maybe she'd have never faced a consequence. Maybe I'd still be riding the bus. What I did wasn't pretty. It wasn't the forgive and forget script families like to pretend is healthy, but it was honest. My sister used my medical debt to ruin my credit. So I sent her mortgage lender the full fraud report, and not to destroy her life, to reclaim mine, and to make sure that when financial institutions looked at the Carter sisters on paper, they saw us for who we really were, one who took responsibility, and one who finally had to